Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question that may sound simple, but has the power to transform your life. What are you doing every single day that leads you closer to success or further away from it? See, success doesn't show up overnight. Success doesn't happen because you got lucky or because you stumbled across the right opportunity. Success lives. In fact, it hides in your daily habits. And the truth is, if you want to predict your future, don't look at your dreams, don't look at your goals, look at your habits, because your habits will tell on you every single time. Success is a habit, not an event. That statement might sound simple, but it has the power to unlock your future if you let it sink deep into your spirit. Too many people are waiting for the big break, the one opportunity, the magical moment when everything shifts. But the truth is, those moments don't just happen by accident. They are created and they are prepared for by the patterns you establish in your daily life. If you want to know why some people experience extraordinary breakthroughs while others stay stuck in mediocrity, the answer lies in one word: habits. Think about it for a moment. We live in a culture that celebrates the highlight reel but ignores the practice tape. We see the championship, but not the practice sessions. We see the multimillionaire, but not the sleepless nights, the disciplined mornings, and the decisions made day after day. We see the best-selling author, but not the countless hours they spent writing when nobody cared. That's because success doesn't show up like fireworks. It shows up like sunrise. Gradually, consistently, predictably. It may look sudden to the outside world, but those who have been putting in the work know it was never sudden. It was the harvest of habits. Here's the hook. You need to grab hold of people fail in their habits long before they fail in their goals. You can write down the biggest dream, plaster it on your wall, repeat it in affirmations every morning. But if your habits contradict your vision, your habits will win every single time. Why? Because your habits are who you are, and your dreams are only who you hope to be. Until your habits align with your hope will always be delayed. That's why it's dangerous to believe success is an event. If you think success is a lottery ticket, you'll wait your whole life for numbers that never come. If you think success is luck, you'll keep sitting on the sidelines waiting for a blessing that passes you by. But when you recognize success as a habit, you realize you don't have to wait. You can start right now. You can practice success today and tomorrow and the next day until eventually the world has no choice but to call you successful. Let me ask you a question. What are your habits saying about you? If someone followed you for the next 30 days and wrote a book based on your daily routines, would that book read like the story of a champion or the story of someone making excuses? Every choice you make is casting a shadow into your future. Wake up late, avoid responsibilities, cut corners. That's the shadow of failure. Wake up early, keep commitments, pursue excellence. That's the shadow of success. The scary part is that the shadow always shows up later, but it never lies. Now, here's the beauty of it. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day to shift into success. You just need to commit to the right habits consistently. Think of a seed. A seed doesn't grow into a tree overnight, but if you water it daily, it becomes unstoppable. Habits are the seeds of your destiny. The little actions you repeat day after day, without applause, without recognition, are building a future that will shock people later. So if success is a habit, the real question is not, will I ever be successful? The real question is, what habits am I living by today that make success inevitable tomorrow? Because success is not something you stumble into, it's something you prepare for. And when you finally step into the spotlight, People may call it luck, but you'll know. It was the pattern. It was the routine. It was the habit that made it possible. If you want to know where you will be 5 years from now, don't look at your dreams, look at your daily routine. Dreams inspire you, but routines define you. It's easy to talk about where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and the kind of life you want to live. But your routine is the evidence of whether you're actually on that path or just entertaining the idea. Here's the reality most people miss. The future doesn't respond to your intentions, it responds to your actions. You don't drift into success, you discipline your way into it. And discipline always shows up in your daily routine. Let me give you a hook that may sting a little bit. Your routine is a prophecy. It's like a crystal ball showing you the direction of your life. If your routine is filled with excuses, late starts, wasted hours, and distractions, then 5 years from now, you will still be frustrated, broke, and wishing. But if your routine is filled with focus, consistency, intentional learning, and small daily victories, 5 years from now, you will be unrecognizable in the best way possible. Your routine is not neutral. It's either building your destiny or burying it. Now, let's be clear. Successful people don't have more hours in the day than anyone else. We all get the same 24. The difference is not in the clock. It's in the choices. Most people live by default. Successful people live by design. They create routines that force them to win, even when motivation disappears. That's the secret. Motivation gets you started, but routine keeps you going. Success doesn't ask how you feel, it responds to what you consistently do. Consider this: if a person spends 30 minutes a day reading instead of scrolling aimlessly, in 5 years they will have read hundreds of books. That knowledge compounds, that wisdom multiplies, and that perspective transforms their decisions. On the other hand, someone who spends those same 30 minutes watching videos that add no value will have nothing to show but wasted time. Both individuals lived through the same hours, but their routines wrote completely different stories. Here's another hook for you. Your routine is either a rehearsal for greatness or a practice of mediocrity. Every morning you wake up, you are practicing for your future. Some people rehearse distraction, rehearse laziness, rehearse inconsistency, and then wonder why life doesn't reward them. Others rehearse discipline, rehearse focus, rehearse execution, and when their big break comes, they don't even have to get ready. They're already ready. That's the power of a routine. It makes success predictable. And let's not miss this truth. Small routines create a massive ripple effects. You don't have to start by running 10 miles a day, building $1 million business overnight, or writing a book in a week. You start by waking up when you said you would. You start by keeping the promises you made to yourself. You start by replacing one bad habit with one good habit. Over time, those routines build momentum, and momentum builds mastery. So the real question is, what does your daily routine reveal about the person you are becoming? Are you on autopilot, hoping life will magically change? Or are you intentional, designing habits that guarantee your transformation? 5 years from now, your routine will either be your greatest testimony or your biggest regret. Success doesn't sneak up on anyone. It announces itself through your daily actions. And if you can win the day, every day, you will win the future. It's not the giant leap that changes your life. It's the small, consistent steps you take every single day that compound into massive success. Most people are waiting for the big moment, the one shot, the grand opportunity that suddenly catapults them into greatness. But the truth is, that moment only comes to those who have been faithful with the small disciplines long before the spotlight ever shines on them. Success doesn't explode onto the scene, it accumulates quietly like drops of water filling a bucket until it finally overflows. Here's a hook that will shift your thinking. Greatness doesn't happen in a day, but it does happen daily. It's the little things, repeated consistently, that shape your identity, build your skill, and prepare you for opportunities. The problem is most people underestimate the power of the small and overestimate the impact of the big. They think one workout doesn't matter, one book doesn't matter, 1 hour wasted doesn't matter, but those always stack up. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 20, and soon a lifetime has been shaped by what seemed insignificant. Small disciplines are like bricks. You don't notice much after laying one, but keep stacking them, and eventually you'll have a fortress. Think about the farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't plant once and expect a harvest the next morning. He plants, he waters, he tends the soil, and day after day, he repeats small disciplines that don't look like progress. But eventually, those small, hidden acts turn into visible fruit. That's how success works. If you can fall in love with the daily disciplines, you won't have to chase success. Success will chase you. The danger lies in our obsession with shortcuts. People want to skip the process and jump straight to the promise. They want the payoff without the practice. But skipping small disciplines is like skipping oxygen. You won't last long. Every great musician, athlete, entrepreneur, and leader didn't just show up one day with extraordinary ability. They trained, they practiced, they sacrificed, and they did it long enough for mastery to emerge. The applause you see today is simply the echo of yesterday's small disciplines. Here's another hook. You can't ignore. What you do daily becomes who you are permanently. Small disciplines shape your identity as much as they shape your results. A person who reads daily becomes knowledgeable. A person who exercises daily becomes strong. A person who prays daily becomes spiritually grounded. The action is small, but the transformation is monumental. On the flip side, neglect is also a discipline. Ignore your finances daily, and debt becomes your identity. Ignore your health daily, and sickness becomes your reality. Ignore your growth daily, and mediocrity becomes your lifestyle. The small things you ignore eventually become the big problems you regret. The secret is to shift your focus from outcomes to inputs. Don't obsess over the scoreboard, master the practice. Don't worry about the harvest, focus on the planning. Because when you take care of the small disciplines, the outcomes take care of themselves. And here's the beauty. You don't have to do everything. You just have to do the right things consistently. One step in the right direction, repeated over time, creates unstoppable momentum. So the challenge is simple yet profound. What small disciplines are you willing to commit to daily, even when no one notices, even when it feels insignificant, even when you don't see immediate results? Because those are the disciplines that will compound into breakthroughs you can't even imagine right now. It's not about waiting for the perfect opportunity. It's about preparing yourself so thoroughly with small, daily actions that when the opportunity arrives, you're already ready. Success is not the result of one giant leap. It's the sum of 1,000 faithful steps. Mediocrity doesn't arrive at your doorstep overnight. It sneaks in slowly, disguised as little habits you thought didn't matter. Procrastination feels harmless in the moment. Excuses sound reasonable when you say them out loud. Comfort feels deserved after a long day. But what you don't realize is that these patterns are rehearsals for failure. Bad habits are silent killers of greatness because they eat away at your potential one decision at a time. You don't wake up one day completely off track. You drift there through daily compromises that seem too small to hurt. But over time, They cost you everything you hoped for. Here's a hook to hold on to. Every habit you have is either a deposit into your destiny or a withdrawal from it. That means nothing you do is neutral. Every choice, every routine, every behavior is shaping you into someone, either the person you want to become or the person you're trying to escape. Bad habits don't announce themselves with sirens or flashing lights. They whisper, they disguise themselves as just this once, and then they quietly train your brain, your body, and your spirit to expect less, settle for less, and live beneath your calling. The danger is that bad habits often feel easier, and that's why they are so seductive. It's easier to hit snooze than to get up early and prepare. It's easier to binge television than to read and expand your mind. It's easier to complain about problems than to create solutions. But here's the truth. What is easy now becomes hard later, and what is hard now becomes easy later. Every time you choose the easy path, you are borrowing comfort from the present and paying for it with your future. Every time you choose the harder but healthier path, you are investing discomfort today to withdraw greatness tomorrow. Think of it like this neglect compounds just as much as discipline compounds. If you neglect your health with small daily choices, eventually the weight, the sickness, the lack of energy will show up. If you neglect your finances, eventually the debt, the stress, the lack of options will show up. If you neglect your growth, eventually the stagnation, the missed opportunities, and the regret will show up. The compounding effect of bad habits is devastating because the damage is invisible in the beginning. You don't feel the consequences immediately, so you keep repeating the behavior, not realizing you're digging a hole that gets deeper every day. Here's another hook that should wake you up. Bad habits will take you further than you plan to go, keep you longer than you plan to stay, and cost you more than you plan to pay. That's why the most dangerous phrase in life is just this once. Nothing is ever just once, because every action is a seed. Plant it enough times and it will grow roots. And once those roots are in place, breaking free becomes harder than you ever imagined. But the good news is this: just like bad habits are learned, they can also be unlearned. You are not trapped by the choices you've made. You are empowered by the choices you can make today. The same way discipline rewires your brain to expect excellence, negligence has rewired your brain to expect mediocrity. But you can disrupt that cycle. You can declare war on the silent killers and replace them with life, giving habits that create momentum in the right direction. You don't have to quit everything overnight. You start by interrupting the cycle one choice at a time. The bottom line is simple. Greatness doesn't die because you didn't have the talent, the resources, or the connections. Greatness dies because you let small, destructive habits strangle it before it had a chance to grow. And the scariest part is those habits feel so normal you don't even notice they're robbing you. But if you can recognize them, confront them, and replace them, you can resurrect the greatness that's been buried under excuses. Bad habits are silent killers, but awareness and discipline are the weapons that defeat them. Winners are not crowned because of what they do when people are watching. They are crowned because of what they practice when no one sees. The applause, the recognition, the titles, those are only the outward rewards of inward preparation. Excellence is not built in the spotlight. It is forged in the shadows where nobody claps, nobody notices, and nobody cares except you. And that is the test of greatness. Can you remain committed to your craft, your discipline, your calling, even when no one is paying attention? Because the truth is, your private preparation always shows up in your public performance. Here's a hook worth remembering. The crowd only celebrates the harvest, but the harvest always exposes what was planted in secret. That means your current results are not random. They are simply the evidence of your private routines. If you cut corners when nobody is watching, those cuts will reveal themselves when the pressure is on. If you compromise in practice, it will cost you in performance. But if you are diligent in the dark, excellence will shine through in the light. Success is never a surprise to the person who practiced for it. It only surprises those who refuse to prepare. Think of the athlete who trains while everyone else is sleeping. Think of the entrepreneur who studies the market while others binge entertainment. Think of the speaker who practices their message in an empty room long before they ever step onto a stage. The world may only see the highlight, but the highlight is the echo of countless unseen hours. That's why champions are made in obscurity, not in the spotlight. The fight is won in the gym, not in the ring. The business is built in the planning, not in the pitch. The mastery is forged in the lonely hours of practice, not in the moment of performance. Another hook you need to hold close: what you do in private determines what you can handle in public. Many people want the platform, the recognition, the wealth, and the authority, but they don't want the process. They crave the rewards of visibility without paying the price of invisibility. But here's the truth: the platform will crush you if your private preparation hasn't prepared you to stand on it. Visibility magnifies who you already are. If you are sloppy in secret, the stage will magnify it. If you are disciplined in secret, the stage will magnify that too. Public success only amplifies private habits. Excellence requires integrity. And integrity means being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. It's easy to give your best when the cameras are rolling. But the real question is, are you giving your best when nobody is checking? Are you disciplined when no one will applaud you? Are you consistent when nobody is validating you? Those are the moments that separate winners from wishers. Anybody can shine for a moment, but only those who commit in private can sustain greatness over time. And here's the most powerful part: you don't have to be the most talented, the most connected, or the most gifted to win. You just have to be the most prepared. Preparation beats talent when talent refuses to prepare. The person who shows up ready, who practices in private until excellence becomes second nature, will always rise above the person who coasts on raw ability. Raw talent might get you noticed, but only disciplined preparation will keep you there. So the challenge is clear. Don't measure yourself by the applause you receive. Measure yourself by the preparation you give. Don't wait for the spotlight to demand your best. Bring your best every single day, even when no one is watching. Because eventually, the light will find you, the stage will call you, and when it does, your private preparation will either crown you or expose you. Excellence is never an accident. It is the result of what you faithfully practice in secret. Every habit you have is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. That means every choice you make is not just about the moment. It is about the future identity you are building. When you pick up that book instead of the remote, you cast a vote for the version of yourself who is wise. When you go to the gym, instead of making another excuse, you cast a vote for the version of yourself who is disciplined. When you speak gratitude, instead of complaining, you cast a vote for the version of yourself who lives in abundance. Life is not decided in big elections every 4 years. It's decided in the daily elections of your habits. Here's a hook that should grab you. Every single action you take is a ballot, and those ballots don't lie. You may say you want wealth, but if you keep voting with habits of waste and impulse, you're casting ballots for poverty. You may say you want health, but if you keep voting with fast food and neglect, you're casting ballots for sickness. You may say you want success, but if you keep voting with procrastination and inconsistency, you're casting ballots for mediocrity. The results you have today are nothing more than the election of your past habits. If you don't like the outcome, it's time to start voting differently. The challenge most people face is they underestimate the power of one small vote. They think skipping this workout won't matter. Spending this money won't hurt. Putting off this task won't change much. But here's the truth. One vote may not decide the election, but consistent votes do. You may not feel the weight of one decision, but over time, those decisions create momentum, and momentum always compounds. You are not shaped by what you occasionally do. You are shaped by what you repeatedly do. Every repeated action reinforces an identity, and that identity becomes your reality. Think of it like building a wall. Every brick seems small when you hold it in your hand, but when you place it down day after day, eventually you create something unshakable. Habits are those bricks. The person you become is the wall. You can't skip days, you can't cheat the process, and you can't expect a strong structure if you've been laying broken bricks. The wall of your future is being built right now, and your habits are the construction crew. Here's another hook that should shake you. If you don't like who you are becoming, check who you are voting for with your habits. Identity is not fixed, it's forged. Every vote you cast is forming a narrative disciplined or lazy, abundant or broke, grateful or bitter, focused or distracted. You are writing your future biography one decision at a time. And the real power is this. You don't have to wait for permission to rewrite the story. You can start casting different votes today, and over time, the election will shift. And let's be honest, the hardest part is that the results of your votes don't show up immediately. That's why most people quit. They eat one healthy meal and don't see a difference. They save money for 1 month and don't feel wealthy. They read one book and don't feel wise. But the election is not won in one day, it is won in consistent days. The ballot box of life rewards the one who keeps voting even when the outcome hasn't shown up yet. That is faith in action, believing that your consistent votes will eventually deliver the result you've been casting for. So every morning when you wake up, remember you're standing at the polls of your destiny. You're holding a ballot in your hand, and the habit you choose is the candidate you vote for. By the end of the day, you will have cast dozens, maybe hundreds of votes. And when enough votes are counted, the person you have been becoming will take office in your life. If you want to change your future, don't wait for the next season. Start voting differently today, because every habit is a vote and every vote counts.